For the past few months, it looked like things were finally calming down. If you guys watched our last video, spoiler alert, but it basically ends with Joe Rogan and Marc Maron making up according to what Joe said. The problem is that 4 days ago, Marc Maron was on this round table and he talked about Theo Von again and not in the nicest way. And so it makes me wonder if maybe Joe forgot to send the memo because I thought the Civil War had reached some kind of ceasefire. Apparently not. And it makes sense. It doesn't seem like this whole Civil War, the whole fighting is slowing down anytime soon. And we've talked about this before, but especially here in the States, the next few months could get pretty interesting. But for now, let's start by taking a look at what Marc said.
Hear from a Theo Von. Did you hear from a Ricky Gervais after the Globes?
Oh. I didn't hear from Theo, but there were some people representing his interests.
What do you hear from them?
Well, I knew, I deliberated that joke a long time. It's a very funny thing about making jokes about comics. So, there's this idea that, hey, we're all
family.
Yeah, we're family. Yeah, but the truth is that if part of the family is dictating culture, 80% of it, or has that much cultural value, they become ripe for criticism. I mean, it's like, what are you going to avoid that? It's like avoiding any sort of big cultural movement or personality. But I really thought about the Theo thing, and I thought that if he's going to get upset about that joke, then he can go fuck himself. To me, it was like, it's too funny.
It was.
Yep.
It's just too funny.
It was.
And, I'd never heard from him, but I heard a couple other comics go, that was a little rough. I'm like, was it?
It wasn't.
It's not. It's just a roast. These guys are so sensitive, though. There's another big comic that's very mad at me right now for something I had nothing to do with. And it's just sort of like, all right, the free speech thing is limited to not talking about them.
Now, one thing I couldn't figure out was when this was recorded. Obviously, it was released last week, but I couldn't tell. I listened to the whole thing at 2x speed, and I heard some references about the Golden Globes and other things that happened about 6 months ago. So it's hard to tell. But the interview or the episode where Joe Rogan said that they made up happened in March. So about 3 months ago. Now, this is very important because it changes the whole story. If the new Marc interview was recorded before, then it's just an old interview finally being released. And it would make sense because, Marc's position hasn't really changed. He was basically saying the exact same thing that he was saying back when he was making fun of Theo. However, if that interview was recorded after March, then that's a whole different story. And it's a lot more interesting because, Joe is out there talking about how everyone is cool with each other, while at the same time, Marc is still taking shots at Theo. Something's not adding up. And this is what Joe said about him and Marc making up at that time.
I made up with Maron.
I heard.
Yeah.
Good on you. Well, the funny thing is you never really started anything. It was all him.
But it's that thing. It's like he wasn't doing so good. And he's also separate from us.
He's doing great. He's in movies.
I know, but it's like he's not doing as well.
I guess.
It's all comparative.
It's so sad.
Comparison is the thief of joy.
I agree, but he's in The Joker. He's talking to Obama. He's like, he's killing it.
He should be killing it.
Yeah.
But it's like people compare themselves to other people. It's very toxic. It's very bad.
And even back then, Joe's comments were a little bit weird because, he was talking about making up with Maron, but at the same time, he was still taking shots. And, that's a pattern that keeps showing up again and again. No one is on the same page anymore. Everyone is splitting. It's hard to keep the same narrative going. And that's why we're seeing more of this infighting going on. And so we don't really know yet if they really made up or not. Either way, there's still something very interesting that happened during that interview with Maron that could potentially cause another massive argument. Because we've seen this movie before, keep in mind that back then what caused the thing that caused the tension between Bad Friends and the Flagrant podcast was Andrew Schultz arguing that Santino and Bobby Lee essentially let Maron take shots at Rogan without any pushback. His argument was that if you sit there while someone takes shots at your friend, then your silence looks like agreements. This is what their reaction was at the time.
So they're doing this like, it's the most shit. They're like trying to create a little distance, not too much where they can't call you and say, "Hey, I got a pod,
Oh, you mean Andrew Santino?
special." Yeah, like not too much where it's like, "Oh, I'd like to come on your pod, but I'll have a guy who's gonna shit on you for the whole fucking episode and not give you pushback." It's like, and it's not just him. Like I've seen other people do it, and it's just like, dude, you're gonna go through some cancel shit later. All these guys, they're gonna go through something later, and they had a guy that they could call that would bring them on the biggest platform in the world and let them explain themselves, have their back. Like you will do it.
I would still do that with Santino.
Of course
He's my
you would.
boy.
That's your boy. That's your boy.
I love him.
He's a fucking amazing hang. That was a bad move. That was a bad move, in my opinion.
He felt like, look, Mark is irrelevant. He's yelling these things out. Like, let him rant. Everyone's going to know what he's doing. But I don't think everybody on the outside does, because they don't know comedy. They don't know the business.
And it looks
think
like you're co-signing it all. And it looks like that you're okay with this. And
It looks like you're co-signing it. It looks like you're okay with it. Keep that in mind. Now, even though Andrew Schultz and Santino were not like the closest friends, they've done a lot of work together in the past. They've done each other's shows a lot of times. They've known each other for a very long time. And even then, Schultz was still willing to publicly trash him over the whole Maron situation. Well, now Marc is at the table next to Nikki, again taking shots at Theo. And so, does the same standard apply here, or was it only a problem when Santino did it? Because Nikki didn't stay quiet. She said the joke was funny and that it didn't go too far, which is an interesting reaction because you went over these clips recently, but I wanted to show them again. Here's Joe Rogan and Andrew Schultz reacting to Maron's joke the first time.
When I decided to talk shit about Maron was after the Theo thing. After Theo kind of went off the rails.
Yeah.
And Theo went off the rails right after Maron put him in his special.
Yeah.
You know
my issue with that joke in the special? It was just like what Twitter says. It wasn't even like a creative angle.
It's not good.
It was just like literally what every tweet would say.
Meanwhile, it was one of the funniest jokes he's ever made because it's an impression of a really funny guy.
Exactly. Yeah, you got to rely on Theo's impression. Like my whole thing with Maron is like I think that like people outside of comedy have this idea of him, but like everybody inside comedy knows he's a piece of shit.
And now take a look at this.
Yeah.
That this is roast jokes are fucking mean. They've always been fucking mean.
They can be cruel too.
Personal, ruthless. Go back and watch all those old Comedy Central roasts. They were fucking brutal.
Yeah.
If you're a person and you're not accustomed to roast and you don't get why those jokes are so mean, I get it. But comedians that are getting upset about these roast jokes, all the way off. Just all the way off.
All the way?
You fucking traitor.
All the way off.
You know what this is. You know.
Very interesting. I mean, who knows if the Maron interview was recorded before or after Joe said that they made up. Comment below if you can actually tell or if you know. But it sounds to me like the comedy civil war is not over yet. And again, it does make sense. This whole podcast scene was built on, having honest conversations and being open. But now that there's millions of people watching every episode or almost every episode, every conversation gets analyzed. And when something doesn't get addressed right away, people speculate. They read between the lines and eventually that speculation reaches those comedians and it has to be addressed. It actually connects to a video that we're currently working on for the main channel. It should be up this week, so look out for that video. But once again, this isn't slowing down anytime soon. Take a look at this.
Yeah, you can at least report this kind of behavior, I think.
You're claiming stand-up doesn't matter? We're the last defense before tyranny. We are defenders of the Constitution.
We're at the wall with turrets keeping out the barbarians.
We have the ear of Donald Trump.
We
tell him exactly what he wants to hear.
And we never ask him a question about being a we're obsessed with
stand politely behind him.
I was
Bills,
there.
but-
We don't ask him about it.
And accept whatever answer he gives.
And then even if we do, we're like, oh, that makes sense, and don't press him. But
And then we go, shit, bro. Damn, bro. That's crazy, bro. Shit. I ain't even think about it like that, bro. My white ass ain't think about it like that, bro.
we have his ear. You're right, Joe. We are the last bastion of free speech.
We're it.
Yeah.
Anyways, come see me at Skid Marks.
I mean, if you listen closely, they're basically making the exact same joke that Marc Maron made in his special, which is that, you know, and it was a big part of the video we made as well, which is, you know, the idea that back then they saw themselves as the only ones that could push back and be honest and be, you know, ruthless to whoever came on the show. And then once they had the opportunity to question power and push back, they didn't. You know, the same arguments by a different comedian. And if more comics or if more people start repeating the same jokes, you know, the jokes that were told on a special because those are better packaged, you know, we might see a lot more infighting and we might see the Civil War expanding. I wouldn't be surprised if we have this exact same conversation again in the next few months. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Leave a like and subscribe to support the channel. Dislike if you didn't like the video. But that is all we have for today. See ya.